Just what are your plans for the off season and possibly playing or just doing individual workouts?
Yeah, I mean, probably take a little bit of a break here, just for maybe a week. I don't really want to lose a ton of the stuff I've worked on, and just trying to get my body back to full health. There's some USA basketball stuff I need to get ready for.
Did Caitlin Clark unintentionally confirm her closest and most important friend's departure? Fierce colleague? The WNBA is receiving a mysterious communication that appears to validate the startling reality. It looks like Sophie Cunningham's time with the Indiana Fever is almost over. One of the season's most compelling plots was the friendship between Clark and Cunningham, which captivated viewers and dominated conversations on social media. Cunningham was more than a teammate. She served as Clark's confidant, enforcer, and on-court bodyguard in the demanding realm of professional basketball. So why is this exciting collaboration emerging so quickly? And unanticipated conclusion? Neither an anonymous source close to the squad nor a leaked front office memo confirmed Sophie's possible departure. Rather, Sophie Cunningham herself provided the startling proof in her usually forthright style. She didn't hold back while talking about her future intentions and career goals on her podcast, Show Me Something. She made it clear that she wants a considerably larger, multi-year deal from her next team, so she may purchase a home and eventually reach financial stability. An objective that, despite their exceptional talent, several WNBA players have failed. Anyone who is paying attentively could not help but notice how carefully she chose her words. Her next team, not this one, and hopefully not Indiana. The wording implied that the player has already mentally moved on and is looking to her future without necessarily taking the Fever into account. When her co-host highlighted more possible locations, such as the New York Liberty, one of the league's top teams, Sophie's reaction was unsettling to Fever supporters who thought she might show some allegiance or a desire to remain in Indiana. It might be any place. The Fever fanbase was shocked by that statement alone. However, her situation's actuality makes it much more explosive and intricate. Cunningham can now sign with any team that offers her a contract without Indiana having any restrictions because she is an unrestricted free agent. Unique rights to keep her. However, there is a significant issue that she and other suitors need to take into account. A severe torn MCL ended her season, necessitating surgery and months of rigorous rehabilitation. Even though she has been sharing encouraging updates on her recuperation on social media, any team, including the Fever, will need to carefully consider the risk of making a huge long-term offer to a player who has just sustained a serious injury, and it's unclear when he'll be able to resume full competitive form. The Fire helped to cement their partnership of a tumultuous and violent 2024 season that put the Fever to the test in unexpected ways. Throughout the season, the Indiana Fever were plagued by injuries. Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark both missed a lot of time because of different conditions. For a large portion of the season, the TE team's chances of making the playoffs were in jeopardy due to continual testing of their depth. Prior to her knee injury, keeping her out of action, Cunningham had solidified her position as the team's emotional leader and the heart and soul of its defense. She was the leading voice in the locker room, the fierce competitor who wasn't scared to confront an opponent in order to protect her celebrity friend from occasionally excessive physical play. Cunningham contributed something intangible but priceless, whether it was stepping in after a hard foul on Clark or setting the tone with her own aggressive defensive energy. The team's camaraderie and performance suffered greatly as a result of her absence from the court, demonstrating the true value of her presence beyond what the stat sheet could show. As their soul-court harmony increased during the season, so did the chatter and conjecture surrounding it. Their bond developed into a Fans frequently analyze their every social media engagement, their body language during games, and their public remarks about one another. Skip This, a controversial sports analyst, commented on the excessive and occasionally improper attention, surprisingly accusing Cunningham of using her association with Clark to increase her own reputation and social media following. An assertion that many considered it offensive and unfounded. This external pressure, which includes intrusive conjecture regarding the nature of their connection, which further complicated their already precarious relationship. In addition to the typical difficulties of playing professional basketball, both players had to deal with an uncommon degree of scrutiny that few teammate relationships have ever encountered. Every move was overanalyzed, and every social media post was examined for hidden significance as a result of the continual attention, which at times may have been flattering. Now, the front office of the Indiana Fever must make a crucial choice that will have long-term effects. Building a championship dynasty around Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston is the franchise's primary objective. Two talented individuals from different generations who are the organization's future. With this goal in mind, every roster place and every dollar of salary cap space will be examined. They must respond to a cold, planned query that eliminates sentimentality and emotion. Do they make a significant long-term investment on a cherished fan favorite who is recuperating from a serious injury and will be 29 the next season? Or do they let her go and utilize the money to go after other free agents who could be younger, safer, or more in line with their long-term goals? This choice is made considerably more challenging by the WNBA's financial situation. The IB Hub WNBA's hard cap generates zero-sum scenarios where signing one player to a big deal implies less money available for everyone, in contrast to the NBA, where teams can exceed the wage cap to retain their own players through different exceptions. Anything else? In addition, the Fever must assemble a full roster around their studs and take into account their other free agents. Not only encircle them with pricey complementary items. This returns us to Caitlin Clark's heartfelt farewell, which feels unavoidable. Those who have followed Clark's career are aware of how she manages these times of transition, even though there may not yet be a sad tweet or a public Instagram post. When she left the squad, we witnessed her publicly convey an emotional farewell letter to her former teammate Tammy Fagbenle, thanking her for their time together and wishing her well in her upcoming endeavors. Clark is a person who respects connections and isn't scared to be vulnerable when teammates move on. The confirmation is in the message that will unavoidably be sent if and when Cunningham signs somewhere else, not in the one that has already been sent. Sophie Cunningham made her intentions apparent in her podcast remarks, and the Fever is confronted with a difficult business issue for which there are no simple solutions. It seems more like a matter of when than whether to send a farewell message. It will probably be passionate and sincere when it happens, and it will validate what many already believe that this collaboration, even if it was significant, it is past. Beyond the interpersonal relationships, this circumstance brings up important queries on the contemporary WNBA's team-building strategy. In comparison to sheer athletic productivity and statistical contribution, how much should clubs emphasize intangibles like leadership, toughness, and team chemistry? Cunningham routinely receives appreciation from teammates and coaches for traits that don't necessarily appear in the box score. She sets expectations for work and responsibility, making her a culture setter. The message that Cunningham's departure would convey to the rest of the team and upcoming free agents must also be taken into account. Is it a symptom of a cold? A business-first strategy that puts winning first? Or does it imply a lack of allegiance that could make other players reconsider making a long-term commitment to Indiana? These are the kinds of issues that keep general managers up at night. The competitive environment is another factor to take into account. A player of Cunningham's caliber and mindset would be highly sought after by a number of clubs in the league, particularly contenders searching for the finishing touch to win the championship. Playoff clubs like the Liberty, Aces, Sun, and others may all make strong pitches about an instant championship challenge that the current rebuilding frenzy just can't match. Sophie may determine that she would prefer to increase her chances of winning a title over participating in a multi-year endeavor at this point in her career, given the uncertainty surrounding her recovery timeframe. One important wild card that cannot be disregarded in this whole circumstance is the torn MCL. The severity and course of rehabilitation from MCL injuries varies greatly. Some athletes regain complete form rather quickly, but others have persistent problems with lateral mobility, explosiveness, and confidence in the knee that has been reconstructed. For a player like Cunningham, who relies on physical play, defensive energy, and the capacity to guard several positions, any reduction in her lateral careering could be a sign of quickness. Teams who want to sign her will definitely need to undergo a thorough medical examination, assessments, and will design contracts with built-in safeguards, deals with team options, performance bonuses, or injury provisions that reduce financial risk are possible. Sophie's thoughts may likewise be influenced by this reality. In the event that her knee doesn't perform as expected, she might be more willing to accept a little lower offer from a team that promises more years of guaranteed money. Cunningham is familiar with the excellent medical staff and training facilities of the Fever, which might help Indianapolis in talks. She has connections with the training personnel and is familiar with the physicians and rehabilitation procedures. Even if it doesn't outweigh other considerations, that degree of comfort and continuity of treatment may be valuable. As expected, the response from Fever fans has been strong and polarizing. Passionate discussions on the team's course of action have erupted on social media. One side contends that loyalty is important and that Cunningham's contributions and steadfast support of Clark throughout a challenging rookie transition warranted her a sizable deal. They highlight the intangibles she contributes and caution that allowing her to depart would harm the team's culture and possibly cause Clark to become irritated. The alternative viewpoint adopts a more rational stance, contending that sentiment cannot influence roster construction on a professional scale. These supporters cite Cunningham's age, past medical history, and statistical. Regardless of how popular she is, the truth is that she is a role player rather than a celebrity. They contend that the Fever must prudently spend their limited resources on players who will be at the peak of their abilities during the team's championship window rather than those whose prime may already be behind them. Both the team and her own representatives have probably advised Caitlin Clark to keep quiet about the issue in public. Any remarks she makes could be taken pressure from the front desk or as a slight to Cunningham if she doesn't make a strong enough case for her. Retention. For a young star attempting to strike a balance between loyalty to a buddy and faith in management's judgment, it's an impossible situation. There are similarities to this circumstance throughout the history of sports. Teams have often had to choose between keeping the experienced leader, the enforcer, or the defensive specialist who supports a superstar. Occasionally, they make the chilly decision to move on, wagering that the star will change and new chemistry will emerge. At other times, they place more importance on continuity and the connections that create stars, even if it's not the best basketball choice. Particularly in the WNBA, there have been multiple cases where business realities caused prospective agreements to fall through. After cherished players were moved or left in free agency, the stars had to get used to new colleagues. Most of the time, the players and teams adjusted, creating new dynamics and carrying on with the competition. However, there have also cautionary instances in which it took years to restore team cohesiveness after losing a crucial cultural component.
What?
The strong public interest in the Clark-Cunningham relationship in particular makes this situation rather special. Their connection developed into a plot that went beyond normal teammate relationships, attracting a lot of media interest and fan support. The conclusion of this: if a partnership occurs, it will be mourned by many in a manner that roster changes driven solely by basketball usually are not.
Aren't.
Is one of the most interesting duos in the WNBA coming to an end? The facts are becoming more and more obvious. Sophie Cunningham's honest podcast remarks have effectively declared her departure. Her contract is about to expire, and the Indiana Fever must make a franchise-changing decision that will demonstrate their values and objectives. Is it a catastrophic error that will haunt the company to allow Caitlin Clark's greatest protector leave? Or is this the kind of cruel, emotionally taxing action that's required to create a real championship club capable of contending for titles in the upcoming 10 years? What follows won't simply determine Sophie Cunningham's future. For many years to come, it will define the Indiana Fever. It will let the league know what sort of organization they want to be, how they strike a balance between pragmatism and loyalty, and whether they actually have the discipline and vision to fully realize the potential of their franchise cornerstones. For Cunningham, it's about placing herself and safeguarding her financial future for the final major contract of her career. For Clark, it's about losing her best friend, while having faith that management is creating something unique. For supporters, the question is whether the team they adore makes the best decision at this crucial point. Answers will be available in the upcoming weeks. One thing is obvious, though. The WNBA community has been enthralled with this narrative because it captures the very human drama that lies behind the professional sports industry. Relationships are important. Loyalty is important, but so are success and wise choices. Regardless of the result, how the Fever handles this situation will be researched and discussed for years.